Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Marie. If you're new, I am a doctor, YouTube, I also do fitness. But yeah, I know it's been a while, but what inspired me to come back was a lady recognized me on the street from YouTube. So I was just like, I need to get back on. And obviously everyone that's already subscribed to me, like over 1,000 subscribers, I really do appreciate it. And if we can keep it going, so before we get into the video, if you can subscribe, I would really appreciate it. But today's video is going to be like a recap of my time at A&E. So this is a while back, because you know your girl's not really been on YouTube that much. So this is from December to April. So yeah, like really and truly, I will start with what is expected as an F1 in A&E, because not all hospitals have F1s as A&E, because technically we're not allowed to discharge patients. But my role as an F1 was literally the same as like any SHO. I will see all patients on my own. If I wanted like a senior reviewer, so like the consultant will come with me like after I've seen the patient, just for their second opinion. But regardless, like any patient I would see, I would tell a registrar or a consultant like the history and what I plan for investigation, like what I think it is, and da 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 da. So I run everything past the senior. Nothing's my own decision. Like I'll always run it past, like even if I think a patient's fine, they could be discharged to their GP, I would still let a senior know. So it's kind of nice because like you get to do all the fun stuff, but then you don't have the full responsibility, because you know you always discuss with the senior, you know, to just kind of save yourself, because you know, legality and all of that, things can come into play if anything goes wrong. But yeah, as an F1 you don't have that pressure. So yeah, that's kind of essentially the role as an F1. And our rota was slightly different to like the SHO and senior rota. So we did not do nights, and I think that's because there is no consultant overnight. So no consultant means no F1s, which was great. So that was no nights for 4 months. But it meant that the frequency of weekends was a lot. So a normal rota would be it's a 3-week rota. So 1 week will be Monday to Thursday 8 till 4, Friday off, and then 8 till 4 Saturday, Sunday, and then you would do 3 to 11 the Monday till Friday. So that is a 7-day stretch. And then after that, finishing at 11 on Friday, the next week would be a P1 week, which is like depending on the rota, you'll kind of fill in the gaps. But I was always 12 to 8, like I'd rarely be 8 till 4 on that week. It was literally always 12 to 8. So it's literally 8 to 4 1 week, 3 to 11, and then 12 to 8. So I found it difficult to get into a routine, because it was like every week it was changing. And I think I did struggle at the start. Eventually I did kind of just get into it, because it's 4 months, so like I don't really have a choice. But definitely at the start I found it pretty difficult. And also, even though the weekends you do finish at 4, it's every 3 weeks you are working on the weekend. And I did the 7 days just once, and I was like, I ain't doing that again, no way. Because like it really got to me, and like I ended up having a breakdown during like the Tuesday or Wednesday. Your girl didn't even get that far before I was like, I can't do this. But it was more like just a combination of, I like went from surgery to A&E, and like surgery you're part of a team. There's just a lot of like teamwork, and whereas A&E is all very much individual. It's, you see the patient on your own, like you're doing the investigations on your own, like everything is on your own. And it felt like at the start there was just a lot of people around me, but I felt alone. And obviously it's a whole new department, and getting to know people, and you don't really get a chance to know people because waiting times are flipping like 8-9 hours. So like obviously it's like see the next patient, see the next patient, and it just, initially at the start I just felt like I couldn't breathe really, like someone was just always on my neck. I felt like I couldn't like even like check my phone for like 2 minutes without like a senior just watching me, and like that's just how I felt at the time. Obviously like trying to like make conversation with like the other doctors, it was a bit tight when everyone's kind of rushing around. So yeah, I think like that, feeling like lonely, trying to adjust, A&E because it's so full on. I forgot to say that shift hours for F1s was 8 hours, but everyone else was 10 hours. But you get a 30-minute break, that's it, and it's like very rigid, whereas on surgery you would go for your break, like you will pick and choose, obviously depending if it's quiet, like you can have a longer break, and kind of there was like freedom, whereas A&E it was, oh please can I go for my break, and then it's just 30 minutes and you just feel like, you know, you got to stick to it, and like 30 minutes is nothing. By the time I would walk to the mess, that's like 5 minutes gone, and then like eating my food and stuff, and say if I forgot or didn't have a chance to bring a packed lunch, like having to go to the canteen, pick your food, eat it, like that 30 minutes would go, like it wouldn't even feel like a break. Like the 30 minutes is just eat and then come back. So I was just finding it difficult to adjust. And then I don't know, like that twilight shift, so the 3 to 11, I just felt like I had no energy, and so I wasn't able to go to the gym. So it was just no gym. Felt lonely, like obviously couldn't go back into London as often, and I felt like in surgery, like going back into London, seeing my friends and family is what got me through. Like each week was like a reset, like got my recharge, can get through the week. But I didn't have that week because I stayed in Bedford, and then yeah, just all like got on top of me, and I started crying all before work, and then like went for a walk, and like I semi calmed down. I was like, okay, good to go to work, yeah. And then I saw my flatmate in A&E, and she was like, babe, are you okay? And I just started crying uncontrollably, and I also lost my stethoscope that day as well, and I was like, bruh, that stethoscope cost over £100. Like I ain't got that type of money to replace the stethoscope, and you need the stethoscope in A&E. So I was just like, this day just keeps getting better and better. And then like I literally was in the middle of taking bloods off a patient. I had to go back to the patient crying, literally like, I'm sorry, I can't take your bloods, I will get another doctor to come and take your bloods. And she was so nice about it. She's like, don't worry. And I was just like crying, and my flatmate was like, tell one of the consultants. Like at this point, I don't even know the consultants like that to like tell them that I'm crying, and I couldn't even tell you why I was crying. Like I just felt like unbelievably sad. It was just a weird time. And I was like, no, I don't need to tell them. Tried to like stop crying, and then like pick up like the next patient, like their card. And like one of the registrars just asked me questions, started crying again. I was like, for goodness sake. And then I could see in his face thinking, what is going on? So he's like, let me get the consultant. Consultant comes, and I was just like, why are you crying? I was just like, I don't know, I'm just sad. Like there's just all these things like going on. I can't pinpoint exactly what has made me sad, but I'm just sad. And he was just like, just take like as long as you need. But either way though, like don't go home. I had to finish the shift, guys. So I finished this shift. I think I probably took like an hour and a half, and then I was like, okay, cool. And to be honest, I'm kind of glad that I did finish the shift, because if I came home, I would have just continued to cry. So yeah, I was better that I finished the shift. And then literally a week later, your girl got COVID, so that was like 10 days off. And I feel like I just needed it as a reset, because I was like, it just gave me time to think. I stayed in London whilst I had COVID. This was literally over Christmas, so I spent Christmas in my room alone, but I just feel like I needed a reset. It was like, okay, cool, you're gonna go back into A&E in the new year. You still have 3 months left, just make the most of it. And I think once I had the reset, even though A&E was hard, I actually did enjoy it. It was tiring, it was full on, but I learned so much, and it was the most I felt like a doctor, because I got to take the history from a patient, do the examination from the patient, all the investigations, like make the referrals to like surgery or medicine. And yeah, like I just had my own autonomy, whereas when you're on the wards, it's definitely consultant led. So that is something that I really very much enjoyed. And so I like that I kind of made the decision in terms of, okay, like, you know, I'm gonna pick up this patient, like, it just felt like I had the autonomy, whereas when you're on the wards, like I said, it's the senior telling you to do this plan and you just action the plan. And A&E, like, it's never boring, like there's always something different and you learn so much, like so many different diagnoses and things come through, and it actually isn't, most of the time, like if you're working in minors, isn't what you think it'd be on TV when people are coming in with heart attacks and it's very dramatic. Like most days was, you know, like stable, like it wasn't anything crazy. There wasn't that many emergencies that I saw in minors. In majors, it was also like not very often, but I guess because my hospital isn't a major trauma center, so that is probably why I didn't see that much. But I would say like the positives for A&E was the fact that you feel like a doctor, you actually get to have patient contact, you learn so much, you become confident as well because you're seeing so many patients. You just learn things on the way and you just now know what to do because you're seeing like similar things day in, day out. And obviously because I'm literally felt like I was living in A&E, you learn really quickly, and it made me more confident in terms of like, you know, calling a radiologist to vet a scan, when to even order a scan, and like you're the one now booking the scan, that it's your decisions and you're putting in like the indication for the scan. Whereas when I was in surgery, it would just be like on the ward round, CT abdomen pelvis, and I'm just like, why? I don't even know, like no one's explaining. Whereas like when you're the one that's making the decision, you actually understand why you're doing a certain investigation. And so it just built my confidence. Like I'm now able to talk to anyone and everyone because I know what I'm doing, I know why I'm doing it, and I think that's the main thing. It's just understanding why. Whereas in surgery I feel like I was a bit passive, maybe because it was my first rotation and it was just getting used to the whole system. But definitely in A&E, you don't even have a choice. It's no one else is going to do it for you because it's not a team job, it's you do it on your own. So you're thrown in the deep end, but you do learn how to swim. So I think that's what I enjoyed about it. And eventually, like, it was a nice atmosphere. I got to know everyone. The consultants are really nice. I like everywhere else in the hospital, you'll call the consultants either like Mr. or Doctor, whereas in A&E you're calling them by their first names, and I don't know, it kind of just makes it them more approachable, and you're able to, like, you know, I mean, regardless, you have to talk to your consultant anyway, but like you kind of build a more personal relationship where, like, you know, it's not just about work. Like you can have jokes and like just discussions and just general chit chat, whereas I feel like I didn't have that when I was in surgery, and even medicine as well, I didn't have that. So it was nice as well. I'd say the downsides of A&E was definitely the rota. Even though it was on the F1 rota and it was less intense than the SHO rota, it still was a lot. Like doing 7 days in a row was crazy. And like I said, like, because the first time I did it I had a breakdown, I was just like, I'm not doing that again. So I used my annual leave to take every Friday off of the 7 days, and it made me be able to get through it. I think at the time when I had the breakdown, one of the factors was I was just like, this is going to be my life for the next 4 months. Like I'm just going to be working 7 days all the time, and I just couldn't see the light. But having the Fridays off, like, gave me a light, because I was like, okay, I've done 6 long days, at least I have a 3-day weekend, compared to I'm doing 7 long days and you finish at 11, so that Friday's gone. And like, I always go back to London on the weekend. It's like Friday's already gone and I need to come back on Sunday night. So it's just, I literally have like Saturday as a whole day, and really I'm traveling like to London on Saturday, so it just felt like there was no reward. Whereas giving myself the 3 days, I was like, okay, you've got the reward, you can get through the 6 days, and I would break the 6 days down to like the weekend, the 8 till 4, Saturday, Sunday, and then the 4 days just Monday to Thursday, and it was able to get me through. I think one of the negatives as well was just how understaffed my A&E was. Like, there was never enough doctors, there's never enough nurses. And in ideal A&E, by the time you see the patient, they would have had like ECGs, bloods, everything done, so that like, when you're now seeing them, you've got the results, whereas that was rarely the case. It would be, I'm having to take the bloods, and it just slows the whole process down, because I'm now having to now wait at least 90 minutes for the bloods to come back before I can even really, like, you know, fully do anything. Like, I can book scans in advance if I'm really like short on the diagnosis, but most times you're like waiting for the bloods, and you can't refer, unless it's very, very obvious, you can't really refer to speciality, or a speciality doctor isn't really going to see without all these results. So it just slows the whole process down. And I remember I had a lady that had acute glaucoma, and it was literally like what you see in a textbook. Like, I'd never seen it in real life before, but as soon as she couldn't open her eyes and she had sudden loss of vision, and as soon as I like looked into her eyes, I was like, yep, that is literally what you see in textbooks. And it's one of the few ophthalmology emergencies. My A&E was not equipped for it, and it was just like the hottest mess ever. Like, my consultant was like trying to ring Luton to see if they can take over, because it was, I think it was only like 9 or something. Luton were like, boy, like, you know, it's not really our problem now, just local management. And my consultant was like, no, like, try and call all these other hospitals. Like, no. So I'm just spending all this time doing phone calls, and then in the end it was like, no one's gonna take this lady, so we have to kind of deal with it. And like, even trying to get the medications, the A&E didn't even have it. Had to call like the on-call pharmacist, and she was just like, yeah, like, give me like an hour or so. And I was thinking, this is an emergency. Like, this lady is in pain, she can't see. And I was just like, right, imagine if that was my grandma. So it just made me realize the shortcomings of, well, it's just NHS in general, because there's not enough nurses, because so many nurses left because of obviously the pay, the conditions, the rota, and it just has like a backlog. The waiting times, there'll be times where it's like 10+ hours wait, and it's just like, it would just get frustrating. There'll just be times where like A&E is just full, like not even just the waiting rooms, like in the corridors, everything just full of people because of the wait times, and it was just chaotic. And I was like, I knew I would enjoy A&E more if it ran more smoothly, like if a triage that bloods were taken, and like ECGs and stuff like that, so that when I saw them, you know, I can make decisions, and like just make an easier process. But life in the NHS, and I think really that was those were like the main down points. I would say overall I actually did enjoy A&E, and I would definitely rate A&E a 9 out of 10. I think like the small flaws of it not like being a bit chaotic, life at the NHS, and the rota, but eventually I got used to the rota, like it wasn't awful. So yeah, I'd give it a 9 out of 10. It definitely was my favourite placement in F1, which I didn't think would be at the time, but I feel like now that I've looked back, I can definitely appreciate it. And when I go to locum in A&E, I really enjoy it. I've actually filmed this video before at the time, and like my view completely changed. I feel like when I was in A&E at the time, like I had like a negative view, but I can look back and see that A&E has made me a much better doctor. Like, I'm so much better now than when I was in the first rotation, and I feel like if I didn't have A&E, I definitely would not be the doctor that I am today. So I'm very grateful for A&E. I would definitely recommend doing A&E in F1 if that is an option, rather than F2, because the F2 rota is pits, like it's awful. I'd say overall like A&E is a good rotation to have. Definitely recommend. If you have any other questions, feel free to write in the comments, and I will see you guys in the next video. And please once again, if you could subscribe, I would really appreciate it. Bye.